Some women wait for the perfect moment, but smart women, they create it. Life doesn't reward those who sit quietly hoping for change. It rewards those who take bold steps with faith in God's plan. My dear friends, life is a series of crossroads. Every day we are faced with choices, some small, some life-changing. And in those moments, the difference between a life of regret and a life of fulfillment often comes down to one thing: the courage to move boldly. But boldness doesn't mean arrogance. True boldness is deeply rooted in clarity, self-respect, and faith. A smart woman understands that she is not here by accident. She is here because God has written her story with intention. And when God gives you opportunities, He also gives you the strength to seize them. So today, let us talk about the moves that transform not just your life, but also your inner self. My dear friends, one of the greatest tragedies in life is not losing something you love. It is forgetting your own value. There are people who spend years chasing approval, recognition, and applause from others, and yet, even after receiving it, they feel empty. Why? Because deep down they never truly believed in their own worth. A smart woman understands something far greater than what the world teaches her. Value was placed within her by God Himself, and nothing, not failure, not rejection, not criticism, can take that away. Think about this for a moment. If you were holding a diamond in your hand and someone walked past and said, "That's just a piece of glass," would that diamond lose its value? Of course not. The diamond's worth is not defined by the opinion of the passerby. It is defined by what it actually is. In the same way, you are that diamond. Your value does not decrease because someone fails to recognize it. In our daily lives, we often meet situations where people underestimate us. It might be at work, when someone talks over you in a meeting as if your opinion doesn't matter. It might be in relationships, where people take your kindness for weakness. It might even be in your own family, where you feel unseen and unheard despite giving your best. But here is the truth: a smart woman knows value is not proven, it is lived. You don't have to fight to prove you are valuable. You have to live in a way that reflects that you already are. Let me give you an example from daily life. Imagine a woman named Aisha. She works in an office where her efforts are rarely appreciated. She stays late, finishes projects, and even helps her colleagues meet their deadlines. But the promotions always seem to go to others. One day, instead of feeling bitter, she reminds herself, "God sees my work even if my boss doesn't." She keeps giving her best, but she also starts building her own skills, connecting with other companies, and exploring opportunities that align with her worth. A few months later, she receives an offer from a bigger company with better pay and respect. Why? Because she didn't let a temporary lack of recognition define her permanent value. Believing in your God-given worth is like wearing an invisible crown. You walk differently. You talk differently. You set boundaries differently. You no longer say yes to everything just to be liked. You say yes to what aligns with your purpose and no to what drains your soul. And people notice that. They may not always like it, but they will respect it. Here's the challenge many face. The world constantly tries to put a price tag on people. Society says your value depends on your job title, your income, your looks, your social media followers, or your relationship status. But a smart woman knows these are temporary labels, not eternal truths. Your job can change, your looks can change, your status can change, but your worth remains untouched because it comes from the one who created you. When you deeply believe in your value, something powerful happens. You stop competing and start creating. You no longer waste energy comparing your journey to others. You don't get jealous when someone else succeeds, because you understand their success doesn't diminish yours. Just like there's room for billions of stars in the sky, there is room for every person's light to shine. Believing in your value also changes the way you handle failure. Instead of saying, "I failed, so I must not be good enough," you start saying, "I failed, but my worth hasn't changed. I'll try again." You stop attaching your identity to your mistakes. Failure becomes feedback, not a definition. Think about a tree for a moment. In winter, its branches are bare, its leaves are gone, and from the outside, it might look dead. But deep inside, it's still alive, still valuable, still growing. Come spring, it blooms again. In the same way, there will be seasons in your life where you don't feel recognized or rewarded. That doesn't mean your value is gone. It means you're in a season of preparation. A smart woman also understands that believing in her worth is not arrogance. Arrogance is thinking you are better than everyone else. Self-worth is knowing you are not better than anyone, but also that no one is better than you. You are simply different, designed for a unique purpose, carrying gifts and talents that no one else can duplicate. If you're wondering how to start believing in your value, here's something simple. Start speaking to yourself the way you would to someone you love. Would you tell your best friend, "You're not good enough"? No. You'd encourage her, remind her of her strengths, and help her see her beauty. Do the same for yourself. Wake up every morning and remind yourself, "I am valuable, I am capable, I am enough." Also, surround yourself with people who recognize your worth. Just as a healthy plant grows faster in sunlight, you will thrive in an environment where you are appreciated. That doesn't mean avoiding challenges or criticism, but it does mean protecting your mental and emotional space from those who constantly belittle or drain you. Most importantly, anchor your identity in God's truth, not in human opinion. If He created you intentionally, then you have nothing to prove and nothing to beg for. You are already chosen, already equipped, already valuable before you even took your first breath. And once you believe that, you stop living for applause and start living for purpose. So my friends, remember this. A smart woman's greatest power is not her beauty, her education, or her achievements. It is her unshakable belief in the value God placed within her. Carry that belief everywhere you go, and you will find that the world responds to you differently. Not because you've changed on the outside, but because you've transformed on the inside. And when your inner world changes, your outer world cannot stay the same. My dear friends, every single one of us has stood at a crossroads where two voices spoke to us. One voice was loud, restless, and full of doubt. It whispered, "What if you fail? What if people laugh? What if everything goes wrong?" The other voice was quieter, calmer, yet powerful. It said, "Trust me. Take the step. I am with you." The first voice is fear. The second is faith. A smart woman knows which voice to follow. She understands that the most life-changing opportunities will never come wrapped in comfort. They will come wrapped in uncertainty. And in those moments, she chooses to take risks with faith, not fear. Fear is clever. It dresses itself in the language of logic. It tells you, "This is not the right time. You're not ready yet," or "Others are more capable than you." It makes you believe that playing safe is the wiser choice. But what fear never tells you is that safety can quietly turn into regret. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a woman named Zora. She has a stable job, a good salary, and a predictable routine. But deep inside, she has a dream to start her own bakery. She loves baking, people love her cakes, and she even has a small following on social media. Yet, every time she thinks of starting her own business, fear shows up. What if you fail? What if no one buys? What if you lose your savings? So she waits and waits and waits. Years pass. The dream is still there, but so is the fear. Now picture a different woman. Let's call her Mariam. She is in the same position as Zara. She also feels fear, but she listens to a different voice, the voice of faith. She says, "Yes, I'm scared, but if God has placed this passion in my heart, then He has also given me the ability to make it happen." She doesn't quit her job immediately. She starts small, taking weekend orders, delivering cakes to friends, and gradually building her client base. Within 2 years, she has enough customers to open her own bakery. The risk didn't disappear, but faith gave her the courage to move anyway. That's the truth about bold moves. You don't wait for fear to vanish. You move forward even while fear walks beside you. Because faith doesn't always mean you know where you'll end up. It means you trust who's guiding you there. Taking risks with faith is not about being reckless. A smart woman doesn't jump into a deep river without learning how to swim. She prepares plans and takes wise steps forward. But she also knows that no matter how much she plans, there will always be a moment where she has to let go of control and trust God with the rest. Think about how many blessings are lost because someone listened to fear instead of faith. How many people never apply for their dream job because they feel underqualified? How many never speak their feelings because they're afraid of rejection? How many never travel, never learn a new skill, never start a new chapter simply because they were waiting for the perfect time? The truth is, my friends, the perfect time is rarely perfect when it arrives. The moment you feel a mix of excitement and nervousness, that's usually the sign you're on the edge of growth. Here's something important: faith doesn't remove challenges, it gives you the strength to face them. The road may still have bumps, but you travel it with a different posture. Instead of saying, "I hope nothing goes wrong," you start saying, "Even if it does, I will learn and rise again." That mindset alone is a game changer. Let's take a simple daily life example. Think about a child learning to ride a bicycle. At first, the fear is real. What if I fall? But the parent holds the bicycle, encouraging them, "I'm right here, keep going." Eventually, the parent lets go, and the child wobbles, maybe even falls, but they get back up. Soon they are riding freely, no fear, just joy. In life, God is like that loving parent. He lets you take the risk, knowing you might stumble, but He is always there to help you back up. Faith-driven risks also inspire others. When you take bold steps with trust in God, you give silent permission for others to do the same. You become living proof that it's possible to rise above fear. People start saying, "If she could do it, maybe I can too." Your courage becomes a ripple effect that spreads beyond you. But here's the key: you must separate the voice of faith from the noise of fear. Fear will always speak loudly. Faith often speaks quietly, in moments of prayer, reflection, or stillness. That's why smart women take time to listen. They don't rush into decisions without checking in with their inner compass, the one connected to God. Every major achievement in history happened because someone took a risk with faith. The first explorers who sailed unknown seas, the first scientists who tested new ideas, the first entrepreneurs who built businesses. They all had moments where they didn't know the outcome, but they trusted enough to try. And remember, not all risks are about careers or big life changes. Sometimes the boldest risk is personal. Trusting someone again after being hurt, forgiving when you have every reason not to, standing up for yourself in a situation where it would be easier to stay silent. These are the moments where faith shapes character. So, my dear friends, if there is a dream on your heart, a decision in your mind, or a change in your life that you've been delaying because of fear, pause and ask yourself, is this hesitation protecting me, or is it holding me back? If it's holding you back, then perhaps it's time to lean into faith. Taking risks with faith is like planting a seed without seeing the whole garden. You trust that with time, care, and God's blessing, it will grow into something beautiful. Fear will keep you standing with an empty hand. Faith will have you planting, nurturing, and eventually harvesting. And the best part, even if things don't go exactly as you planned, faith will always lead you to where you are meant to be. Because when you walk in faith, every step, whether it feels like success or failure, is still a step forward in God's design for your life. My dear friends, one of the most tempting places in life is the comfort zone. It's warm, it's familiar, and it's safe. In the comfort zone, you know exactly what to expect. No surprises, no big challenges, and no serious risks. But here's the truth. Nothing extraordinary grows there. A smart woman understands that while comfort feels good in the short term, it can quietly limit her in the long term. She chooses growth over comfort because she knows God didn't design her for small living. He designed her for expansion, for purpose, for becoming more than she was yesterday. Comfort whispers to you, stay here. You know this place. It's not exciting, but it's safe. Growth whispers something different. Step forward. You don't know everything yet, but you'll learn along the way. One voice wants to protect you from discomfort. The other wants to prepare you for greatness. Let me give you an example from everyday life. Imagine someone working in the same job for 10 years. It pays enough to cover the bills, the people are nice, and the routine is predictable. But deep inside, she feels stuck. Her skills are not improving, her dreams are fading, and her energy is slowly draining away. Every time she thinks about changing careers or starting something new, fear reminds her of the risks. What if you fail? What if it doesn't work? So she stays comfortable but unfulfilled. Now imagine another woman in a similar situation. She too feels stuck, but instead of staying, she takes small steps toward growth. She starts learning new skills online after work. She attends workshops, meets new people, and pushes herself into situations where she has to think differently. Eventually, an opportunity comes along, a job that challenges her but also excites her. She takes it, and within a year, she's not only earning more but also feeling more alive. What changed? She chose growth over comfort. Choosing growth doesn't always mean making huge, dramatic changes. Sometimes it's about daily habits. Reading instead of scrolling endlessly on your phone, waking up an hour earlier to work on a goal, joining a class even if you feel shy, or saying yes to opportunities that stretch you. Growth often happens in small steps that eventually lead to big transformations. Here's the thing, growth will always require some discomfort. Think of a seed. It has to break open in the soil before it can sprout. That breaking is uncomfortable, but it's the only way life can emerge. In the same way, you might have to break old habits, old mindsets, or old ways of living to grow into the person God created you to be. Sometimes comfort is disguised as loyalty. You stay in the same circle of friends, because you've known them for years, even though they no longer inspire you to grow. You stay in a familiar environment because leaving feels disloyal. But here's the truth: you can still love people while moving forward in your life. Growth doesn't mean abandoning those you care about. It means not abandoning yourself. Let's be honest, growth is uncomfortable because it's uncertain. When you try something new, you might feel awkward, make mistakes, or face criticism. But every expert you admire was once a beginner. Every confident speaker you see on stage once stood shaking, unsure of themselves. Every successful person once faced the choice between staying safe or stepping forward. One of the best examples of growth over comfort is physical fitness. Imagine someone who wants to get stronger but only lifts the same light weights every day. At first, it feels fine. They're not sweating too much and it's easy. But the body adapts and the progress stops. To grow stronger, they have to add more weight, more resistance, more challenge. In life, it's the same. You can't grow by repeating only what's easy. You have to increase the weight of your experiences to build strength. Growth also deepens your relationship with God. When you step into the unknown, you pray more, you listen more, and you lean on Him more. Comfort makes you rely on your own understanding. Growth makes you rely on His guidance. And that's where real transformation happens. Not just in your circumstances, but in your soul. Another daily life example: think about public speaking. Many people fear it. Standing in front of others, all eyes on you, it's nerve-wracking. But the only way to overcome that fear is to face it. You start small, speaking up in a meeting, sharing your thoughts in a group, volunteering for short presentations. Over time, the fear fades and confidence grows. That's the reward of choosing growth. You become capable of things you once thought were impossible. Sometimes growth is forced upon us. Life throws unexpected changes: job loss, a move, a breakup, a challenge that shakes our stability. In those moments, we have two choices: resist the change and cling to what's gone, or embrace the opportunity to grow in new directions. The most inspiring stories often come from people who turned a painful change into a powerful transformation. But here's something important to remember: growth is not a straight line. You might take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's okay. Progress is progress, no matter how small. The key is to keep moving, keep learning, and keep stretching yourself. Choosing growth over comfort also changes the way you see challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Every difficulty becomes a lesson, every setback a stepping stone. And over time, you build not just skills, but resilience, the ability to rise, no matter how many times life knocks you down. My dear friends, your comfort zone may feel safe, but it can also quietly suffocate your potential. The woman you are today is capable, but the woman you could become, if you keep choosing growth, will surprise you, inspire you, and perhaps even change the lives of those around you. God has placed seeds of greatness inside you, but they will not grow if you keep them in the soil of comfort. So, when life gives you a choice between what is easy and what will make you grow, choose growth. When you feel the pull between staying safe and stepping forward, choose growth. When you are afraid but know that the next step will take you closer to your purpose, choose growth. Because in the end, comfort may keep you where you are, but growth will take you where you are meant to be.